Hi, I'm Lauren from Lauren's Cravings over on Instagram. Welcome to my YouTube channel and hi to those of you that are new. So I'm wanting to introduce a new feature which is a kind of let's chat, and I'm thinking of uploading these on Wednesdays. So in addition to recipes that I'll post on Mondays and also a list feature on Fridays, I wanted to give myself the opportunity to talk around some of the subjects that I want to delve a wee bit deeper into. This postpartum hair really got me good, by the way. I mean, I do have a messy bun in, but it's normally a lot fluffier than this. I mean, this is a good hair day. So on that basis, the first one that I want to talk about that I've said that I was going to do for a while was, what did I actually use in my hospital bag? So hopefully if you're watching this one, you have watched my hospital bag. I have it in two parts. First part was the baby items and the snacks and drinks. And the second one was the bag I packed for myself. So this video will cover the whole lot. I've got a list in front of me, so if you see me glancing down, it's just because I'm looking at the laptop. I will, as I walk through it, just put a bit on the side here for each section that I'm discussing. So we'll start off with general items. Now, general items, there was a couple of absolute winners and then there was a couple of totally unnecessary items in that. So the first one, birth plan. Now, I had heard this from a lot of people, but my birth plan was not looked at all. It might be different if you have a different labour from me. You can reference my labour video to understand kind of how my labour went. It was very quick from first contraction to delivery. It was 8 hours and 20 minutes. I turned up and in triage it was found that I was 10 centimetres. So things moved very, very quickly. If you're going in to be induced, if you're going for a plan section, anything at all, I think you will have a bit more time to discuss preferences. Mine went extremely rapidly and I did not get the birth I was after, although I was really happy with it because it was so quick. But just as an example, I had moved hospital because I wanted a birthing pool. I did not have time to get in a birthing pool. They didn't have time to fill a birthing pool up for me. So my birth plan, albeit Jonathan and I referenced it on a couple of occasions, they didn't have time to look at it. So this is where, for me, the biggest piece of advice would be make sure that your birthing partner is fully aware of everything that you want, is aware of your choices, is aware of your decision trees on various things and how you feel towards things, because they might need to make decisions for you and have the coherent conversations with the midwives and or consultants when you are not in a position to do so. Hypnobirthing Book, I think Jonathan did reference it at one point. He was good again. This is where the birth partner is critical. He was the one at one point. I remember specifically even being, and it was in the pushing stage, I'd started kind of hyperventilating a bit. So my breathing was really good. You know, I got through to 10 centimetres just using my TENS machine, which is a critical item on the general items. Loved my TENS machine. But I'd started hyperventilating at one point and he kind of brought me back down. He was like, Lauren, breathe, 1, 2, 3. Do you know, and it just kind of reset me. So this is again where your birthing partner is critical. So he done the hypnobirthing course with me. We didn't have time to do massage because of how quickly mine was. But again, we would probably have referenced the massage techniques within the hypnobirthing book, hence why we took it with us. So I definitely would recommend taking that if you're doing that. Massage oil for the same reason. If you have time or if your active labour was a bit slower than mine, I do think you would use it because I would have loved the practice runs of the massage. I would have loved massage in my labour. iPhone charger and long cable, even though I was in and out in the same day, I did use it. So long cable, absolutely critical. iPad, did not use it. However, if I was staying in overnight, I absolutely would have used it. Another thing to consider is that your hospital might not have a great internet signal, so I'd recommend that you actually download some things to watch beforehand, and you obviously need earphones to watch that if you're in a ward with other people. So earphones, critical, iPad, critical, because you might stay in and you'll need something to amuse yourself. Alexa or speakers, I did use them. So Jonathan actually set them up, and I remember at one point going, this music's really good, and it was because he had got the speakers out and put on one of my playlists. So it just got me a wee bit in the groove during the pushing stage and just made me feel a little bit more comfortable. So Even with my quick labour, I used the speakers. Sports bottle, that was both for drinking water, but also for like as use as a piri bottle afterwards. I did use it. If you have watched my postpartum, oh no, this will be going out before the postpartum, so I actually list the piri bottle in my postpartum items, which is the video that's going to be going live on Friday. I would recommend getting a piri bottle specifically for that use. The sport bottle was a bit jetty because you need to push and it spurts out. But it done the job, and to be fair, I didn't actually tear my perineum, so I wasn't particularly sensitive, hence it was okay for me. Sports bottle, you need it to drink out of, so everybody recommended Lucozade Sport. When I get onto the food items, definitely get Lucozade Sport. I'd actually been on the fence about it, but see, when I was mid-push, I actually was like, and I remember literally, now this is not something to be obviously commended, but I just chucked the antibiotic on the floor across the room. And nobody gives you any trouble for it. Masks, because of the COVID situation just now, we had to wear a mask. I had to wear one from reception up to triage. I then did not have one on until I went home thereafter. They didn't make me wear one, obviously, in active labour. They didn't make me wear one up in the ward. When you were travelling between wards, Jonathan had his on. They didn't make me put one on, so that was very much appreciated. Temple oil and cream, nah. And ear masks and earplugs. Again, if you're staying overnight, earplugs would have been critical for me. My friend stayed overnight and she said there was a rhinoceros sleeping next to her. I know that's probably a bad thing to say about someone, but yeah, definitely take earplugs just in case you stay over and you have a prolific snorer. Eye mask, one point for that my hypnobirthing teacher had said was actually wear it in the car driving to the hospital so you don't get distracted and you're not like looking at all the traffic. I was heavy or really deep into contractions at that point, and I did not need an eye mask. I was too busy focusing on getting through those contractions. I can't really remember the drive. Probably not critical. Toiletries. We're on at the toiletries now. So we're on to toiletries now. You know what toiletries are essential, so I'm not going to kind of walk through toiletries. I did have a shower. They encourage you to have a shower right after you give birth. I had a natural vaginal birth. And they do encourage you to go in for a shower pretty soon after. So, but not to use products. So I think I'd added in shower gel, etc. I didn't use anything, I just used water. You're pretty much like wiping all the blood, etc. off you at that point, and they don't give you any product. So again, if you're staying in a few days, you would use shower gel or whatever to wash yourself. Under the arms and whatnot, but you're not putting anything down in any sensitive areas. I obviously needed contacts and glasses. I didn't need them because I was in and out the same day, but I would have if I was staying overnight. Deodorant. Interestingly, if you're planning to breastfeed, I'd maybe hold off on deodorant just because they say the baby wants to smell you, and especially if you're going to have a shower every day, which you are going to do postpartum because you need to keep down there clean. I would maybe just hold off on the deodorant. I didn't start wearing it for another couple of weeks postpartum, and I know a lot of people that breastfeed who still don't wear it because of the chemicals that you get in antiperspirant, so just something to consider. Vaseline and lip balm, I didn't use it. A lot of people had recommended it for gas and air. I was only pushing for about an hour and 10 minutes, I think. And obviously I arrived 10 centimetres, so I wasn't using it for a long duration of time. It does dry your mouth out, so I would recommend you take Vaseline, and I would recommend that you take your sports bottle with your drinks and water in it, because any prolonged use of gas and air and you're going to feel it. It's going to like dry, parched. Yeah. So I do think that was a good suggestion. Hairbrush and Bobbles, obviously, and take backup Bobbles just in case you snap any. I've then got Arnica and Aloe Vera gel. No, to be honest. The only item that I would say is essential and that I definitely did use was Spritz for Bits by my expert midwife with the maternity pads. So definitely took them. A lot of people had said the hospital supplied them, right? But when I was speaking to the midwife and I said I had them, she then went into the case to get mine. So I used them directly after labour. when I get out the bed, I actually was like dripping blood onto the floor to get into the bathroom. And see, when you go for your shower, so they obviously stitch you up if you're needing stitches, give you a wee wash down there, do all that sort of thing. And this is after the you know, you've taken the placenta out and everything. But they get you to get up, go for a shower, and you're obviously going to then need your big pants. So that's in the clothing section, but I will mention it. I use them, your maternity pads and your Spritz for bits. Nothing else I would say is required at this point in time. Pregnancy vitamins and tablets, if you're staying in and you're taking them each day, yes, I didn't use them. I did use paracetamol just to kind of take the edge off. So I've mentioned that in postpartum items like pain relief. Nipple cream and breast pads, not required. Unless you've been leaking colostrum before going into labour. So if you've been leaking colostrum, absolutely take breast pads. If you haven't, you won't need breast pads until your milk comes in, likely, which is day 3, day 4. So I did not need to take them in. Nipple cream, unless you're going to be staying in a few days. So you know how a lot of people talk about have a bag for going in and then have a backup bag that if you know you're going to stay in, your partner, a birthing partner can bring in for you. I would have that in the backup bag as well as the breast pads. Mine was a really straightforward labour. I didn't need either of those things, and I didn't need breast pads until my milk came in. And colostrum, because my labour actually came on naturally, and you need to have conversations with the hospital on if they can store it, i.e. keep it frozen, because otherwise you would need to, you know, get rid of it thereafter, especially if your baby latch is on fine and they're actually feeding. What advice I would give is if you have collected colostrum beforehand, keep it in the house and get your birthing partner to bring it in if it looks like you're either going to have an emergency section, trouble feeding, you're going to be staying in longer, anything at all, and it looks like you might need it because there's potentially been complications during your birth, then I would say get your partner to bring it in, and that way you know that you're not wasting any and it's been kept frozen in your house at home. So clothes. You know, it makes me laugh when I look back at some of my photos from labour, because a lot of people talk about the nice outfit that they'll have on or the nice nightie that they'll have on when they give birth. Mine went so quickly that I literally ended up in a black tank top with my I Love Sia like maternity bra on, which I'd been wearing all throughout my pregnancy. Nothing on the bottom, and pink socks that were threadbare on the bottom. Well, it was funny, I suppose, looking back, but I'm just like, anyway, can't show that to anybody. Definitely wore the big knickers, definitely wore the maternity leggings, I wore them home. Black vest top, absolutely wore it. Flip-flops, I did use flip-flops. So slippers and flip-flops are for different things, especially if you're wanting a water birth, you know, you're going to want to take flip-flops. But the ease of actually putting them on and off, so after my shower I put flip-flops on to go up to the recovery suite rather than putting my Doc Martens on, which is what I'd come in to triage in. So I just put them in my case and I wore my flip-flops. They're so easily slipped on and off. Definitely recommend them. Slippers, if you're going to be in a few nights and you want comfort, you don't want to be wearing them when you're actually in labour because your waters, and if you're, you know, using a pool for a water birth, you're going to be getting them wet and they'll probably get ruined. So yes, for days after, not for active labour. Baggy clothes. I can't recommend enough baggy clothes. I went home, I think, looking pretty trampy. If you're really fussed on getting the gorgeous, you know, you in the photo and not just the man walking out with the car seat with the baby in it, then absolutely take something, but please be considerate of your body, especially if you end up with a C-section. You don't want anything that's going to hurt your scar. And I didn't want anything baggy because I didn't want anything tight just because I don't feel comfortable in it. So comfort above all else. Nighties, not going to go into too much detail, but I do mention nighties specifically in my postpartum video that's going live on Friday, so please watch that. It's top 10 essential items for postpartum. These nighties, absolutely recommend, and if you're staying in, you are going to want them. Food. In my food bag, considering I was in for such a short period of time, got absolutely tanked. I had made sandwiches. I ate sandwiches. We ate biscuits when I was in triage because I had vomited after a contraction that I told the midwife about. She encouraged me to eat, which is interesting because a lot of people had told me that they try and get you not to eat in case you go for emergency section. But she was saying to me, you might be in it for the long haul, so get your energy in whilst you can. So biscuits, crisps, sandwiches. Food bag is critical. Now, if you follow me on Instagram, then you understand my passion for food. Also share recipes on here. I love food. And I loved that it ended up being such an important element of what I needed in my hospital bag. It had its own bag, to be honest, and I used it all because the sandwich that I get given by the hospital was rubbish. Quite frankly, they had a crap selection. I had missed the hot food options, so I fell back on that bag and I fell into that bag. And lastly, baby. I'm not going to touch on the husband's items because as far as I'm concerned, that is their responsibility. You have got enough on your plate. So if you choose to do that, I literally hold my hands up to you, but it would not be me. Baby, obviously a car seat is essential, regardless of whether you're going home in your own vehicle or you're going home in a taxi, you need a car seat. Nappies, I did use my nappies, which was another interesting one. So I used my maternity pads and I used my nappies when people had told me that they would supply them. So hence why I would say, like, just prepare just in case. Didn't use water wipes because I was using cotton pads and water at that point with Bryce. Did use a blanket, did use baby grows, baby vest, cardigan and hats. And to be honest, depending on how long you're going to be in, you will need multiples of those items. The baby is waking up, so how good is this timing? Didn't use a swaddle, although if you were staying overnight, I would recommend a swaddle. It took me a few weeks before I was then convinced of the benefits of a swaddle, and I'll probably discuss that in another video. But I would recommend that you swaddle your baby because it actually took me a few weeks to get round to it, and it settles them a lot better because it emulates what they're used to in the womb. So, and that was really it. So plenty of outfits for the baby. Bryce ended up in newborn. A lot of people tell you to prepare for newborn in 0 to 3. I've still not heard from a person that actually ended up using their 0 to 3. I think that's more the exception than the rule. It's not going to hurt because they're going to end up growing into them anyway. So take one outfit maybe of that, and I would fall back on like first size and newborn personally. So I hope you found that video helpful. I had been meaning to do it for a while, and I always think it's interesting actually looking back that women that haven't been through labour end up sharing what's in their hospital bag, but I suppose gives them the opportunity to do these videos. So really looking forward to next video, and let me know if you have enjoyed this let's chat option, and if you have anything else that you'd like me to chat about, drop it below in the comments. Please like and subscribe. I really appreciate it, and I will speak to you next time.